Well, law enforcement officials also announced that they are looking for allies in the war against drugs, and employers have been asked to do their part to help. News Channel 4's Jon Foss has more on this story.
Well, Christy, today Northern Iowa's United States Attorney said law enforcement cannot combat drug use alone. He said everybody needs to help. More specifically, employers. Law enforcement officials say drug use, mainly methamphetamines, is a problem in Siouxland, and they are encouraging employers to help.
We need our employers involved because so many of these people have been good, productive citizens within our communities, and because of the drug usage, have now become dependent upon the rest of the community.
According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, 73% of all adult illicit drug users are employed.
We need the support from the families. We need the assistance from the employers. I think all of that is needed if we're going to continue to make progress in our war against the drugs.
The reason methamphetamines are so popular in Iowa is because the ingredients are so accessible and it is so easy to make. The three ingredients are ephedrine, lithium, and anhydrous ammonia, which can be obtained from decongestant medicine, batteries, and ammonia tanks commonly found on farms. President of Siouxland Cares, Kermit Dolan, says it is important to get drug users treatment as soon as possible.
Treatment works. We need to intervene early. We need to get people into treatment and to maintain the pressure.
Amick says this will save Siouxland money in the long run.
It becomes very costly. Our jails are overcrowded, not only here in Woodbury County, but across the nation. And that's not even touching on the cost to the public through the health issues.
So what should employers do?
We would like to see employers have a drug-free workplace program, but have them educate their employees, treat their employees if necessary, and test their employees.
Well, Christy Larson said that his main goal is to let drug users and dealers know that Siouxland is not a place for them.
For motorcycle riders, it's better to be safe than sorry, and one Siouxland couple is living proof. And as News Channel 4's Jon Foss tells us, they're trying to send that message to other bikers.
Where to Nebraska, but as soon as they get over to Iowa.
Husband and wife, Larry and Alice Locke, share a love for the open road. Now they're sharing a hospital room.
It's kind of my job to watch out for deer or animals coming up or coming across the road or something, and I never saw that deer.
That deer jumped out of a ditch on Highway 140 near Kingsley last Thursday, right into the path of the Locke's motorcycle.
I slid down the blacktop and I saw the blacktop going by, and then pretty soon the gravel, and when I got to the gravel I started picking that up with my chin.
The Locks say they are lucky to be alive considering the damage done to their Honda Goldwing. This broken mirror is only a small part of the damage done to the front of the motorcycle. The accident even caused this steel foot pedal to break off.
I just think as hard as I hit, you know, if it knocked me out when I hit and I had that helmet on, that it would have just cracked my skull open.
The accident left Larry with 8 broken ribs, a broken toe, and what he describes as the granddaddy of all bruises on his back. Alice has a broken rib and road rash. The Locks now have a message for other motorcycle riders.
Each day when they go out and they get on that motorcycle and they pull away from their residence is to dress like today's the day I'm going to crash. If you don't have a helmet, get a helmet. If you don't wear a helmet, wear a helmet.
So will the Locks ride again?
We'll ride again, yes. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but we'll ride again.
With helmets, of course. In Sheldon, Iowa, Jon Foss, KTIV, News Channel 4.
And some good news tonight. The Locks were released from the hospital tonight.
Please be seated.
Prosecutors say Dustin Steenstra knew his friend John Turpin planned to murder ex-girlfriend Sara Harvey and then take his own life. But though Turpin talked about murder and suicide, defense attorneys argue Steenstra never thought his involvement would lead to the 2 deaths. Turpin's stepfather was one of the witnesses that took the stand.
Did you stop to talk to him?
Yes, I did.
What did you say?
I asked him where he was going, and He didn't answer me first, and I asked him again, and then he said that he thought he had just killed Sara.
Dolschlager says he arrived on the scene shortly after Sara Harvey was murdered.
So I heard another shot, and then I heard my wife scream, and then I ran back upstairs. He got to the top of the steps, and he looked at her and said, "Mom," and then he shot himself in the...
The fact that Turpin murdered Harvey and committed suicide is clear. But now the question is, did Steenstra help? Investigator Del Wallinga talked to Steenstra shortly after the incident.
Did the defendant say if John Turpin talked about how the plan was to kill Sara?
Yes. Just talked about how angry he was with Sara, needing to kill Sara, then take his own life.
Wallinga said Steenstra not only knew the murder-suicide was a possibility, he also was asked to help in what eventually led to it.
Needed to call Sara in order to have John talk to her, because if John called, Sara wouldn't talk to him.
Steenstra made that call, persuading Harvey to go to Turpin's house that night. And if the jury decides Steenstra knew what the outcome was going to be, he could spend life in prison. In Orange City, Iowa, Jon Foss, KTIV, News Channel 4.
Another Siouxland town hit hard by the storms, Emerson, Nebraska. News Channel 4's Jon Foss is with Live Link 4 in Emerson tonight. And John, what kind of damage do they have there?
Well, Matt, there's a lot of wind damage here. There were no reports of tornadoes, but the storm did leave its own path of destruction here in Emerson.
Well, I've been through tornadoes, and I've never seen anything like this. I've just never seen it before. This is the first time. I thank God that my family and I are safe.
Most Emerson, Nebraska residents spent Tuesday night in their basements.
It started off as a light rain, and it looked like the clouds would dance around us a little bit, and then they kind of just surrounded the town, and the hail hit, and some high winds and some rain died down a little bit, picked up, died down, and that was pretty much the end of it, about 2-3 hours worth.
By the time the storm was over, it caused major damage. So much that I had trouble even finding the town. I knew that I was close because I was on Highway 35, yet I still missed my turn because the 15-foot town sign had been blown down. And this is nothing compared to the park.
The park took a beating. It's a beautiful park. They take the park is well taken care of, beautiful park, and it looks like it's nothing but a pile of junk.
The storm also caused some houses to lose power.
We've just been cleaning up the trees and getting someone to fix the power lines, and cable company's going to show up.
So where does this storm rank for Emerson residents?
I would say it's probably right now about the top of my books. I just went to the basement and hoped and prayed that nothing worse was going to happen.
Well, there are still several houses without power here, and I talked to an Emerson resident that works at a local cafe. She said they average about 15 customers a day for lunch, but today they had over 80 because it's one of the few places with power. And once again, Matt, no tornadoes have touched down here, but all this damage was done only by wind and hail.
Hard to believe. That's News Channel 4's Jon Foss with Live Link 4 in Emerson, Nebraska tonight.
Well, with the economy struggling across the country, governors are working harder than ever to try to lure business to their states. Today, South Dakota Governor Mike Rounds hosted a round of golf in Siouxland to try to boost business. News Channel 4's Jon Foss was there and has more in the newsroom tonight.
Well, Pat, today South Dakota's Governor Mike Rounds hosted a golf tournament featuring in-state and out-of-state business leaders in an attempt to boost economic development.
For us, the sky is the limit.
South Dakota Governor Mike Rounds hosts the annual Governor's Golf Classic at the Dakota Dunes.
We hold this as an opportunity for individuals and businesses in South Dakota and in the surrounding states to see just exactly what economic development means to people in South Dakota. We want them to meet us. We want them to feel comfortable with our approach to business. We also want to showcase this part of our state for individuals that may have an interest in moving here.
Governor Rounds adds that South Dakota has advantages other states can't offer.
Our unemployment is low. Part of it is some of the things that we can impact, our tax structure and our ability to work. We have the lowest taxes of just about any place in the United States. It's something that we can do to help actually improve the cost of living for our people that live here.
Governor Rounds says that when it comes to economic development, people are his greatest asset.
It's our people that truly make the difference. Some of the finest educated people and some people that really do believe in hard work and working with other people.
And Governor Rounds has a message to any business or individual considering his state.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Give us the opportunity to compete. Give us the opportunity to show you what we have to offer. We'll do our best to see that your business has an opportunity to make a profit. In South Dakota, profit's not a dirty word.
And Pat, Governor Rounds has called a special session to take place next week concerning health care. His goal is to pass a health insurance risk pool to spread costs fairly throughout South Dakota.
But first, Sioux County Deputy Dan Altena was demoted because he's running for sheriff against his boss.
And although that election is still more than a year and a half away, Altena has been paying the price ever since. Today, Altena tried to regain some of what he's lost. News Channel 4's Jon Foss has more on that from the newsroom.
Well, Matt and Christy, in April, former Sioux County Chief Deputy Dan Altena announced that he would run for sheriff. Since then, he's been demoted and lost $6,000 a year in pay. Today, he went in front of the Board of Supervisors to attempt to get some of that money back.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
The Sioux County Board of Directors weighs in on Deputy Dan Altena's salary.
The decision was to keep Mr. Altena's wages at 82.5% of the sheriff's wages.
I think it was possibly a matter of justice, and it seemed that they had some great concern in there too about maybe some liabilities, and so it does make me very happy.
The decision will lower Altena's pay cut from $6,000 a year to about $2,000. Sheriff Jim Sweesaw says the problem with the board's decision is that Jamison Van Voorst, who was recently promoted to civil and operations, will be the one in the end paying the price. Sweesaw declined to go on camera, but did say the county's budget only allows for 3 law enforcement employees to be paid 82.5% of his salary. And now that Altena will be one of them, Van Voorst will not. He will be paid a patrolman's salary while working a management position. County Attorney Melissa O'Rourke says that there is a possibility of action taken on the board's decision.
Based on what the board did today, there is the possibility that the union or someone in the union for the deputies could file a grievance, because now this particular deputy will be getting paid more than other road deputies in Sioux County.
However, O'Rourke added that because there may have been a violation in civil rights when Altena was demoted from chief deputy to deputy, he could have grounds for a suit against Sioux County. And therefore, she believes the decision the board made was the safest one.
Our advice to the board was it's better to deal with a grievance situation, dealing with collective bargaining, than possibly having Sioux County facing a civil rights lawsuit.
The decision goes into effect July 1st and will last until the end of the fiscal year in 2004, at which time the sheriff does have the option to lower Altena's salary again. And Matt, Altena says that if that is the case, he will do what he did today and go back to the supervisors again.
All right, John, keep us informed. That's News Channel 4's Jon Foss in the newsroom tonight.